Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Sikeja Kofi. Anywhere you see me, just call me.
Take that, rewind it back.
There is a debate gaining momentum across Africa and the diaspora, ladies and gentlemen, on Ghana leading the African slavery reparations. Now, the debate I am seeing online, especially with Menesa Azori and Oliver Baker Vomawo, is basically centered on who should pay and who deserves it. On one side, we are told Europe and America built, financed, and benefited from slavery. Therefore, they must pay. On the other side, a more uncomfortable truth is emerging. Africans were not just victims. Some were participants. Some were intermediaries. Some were power brokers within the system. So, ladies and gentlemen, the narrative is becoming interesting. The transatlantic slave trade, non-arguably, could be the gravest crime against humanity. But now let me bring this to your attention that if today a ship arrives on the ports of Africa and that ship comes from America or Europe, and let's say there's a bold inscription written on it, enter if you want to go and serve in the USA or Europe as a slave. Ladies and gentlemen, I can confidently tell you the ship will be overcrowded with many Africans who would prefer being a slave to the white man than to keep remaining a slave in his own country. Yes, the white slave master treated us bad, but the black leader and politician has treated us badly. However, this is not the angle I would like to explore today. So dash it off. Now, take your time and listen to me very carefully and grasp my idea. Let's look at the historical perspective first. From the 1482, when Elmina Castle was built, to the 1800s, the Gold Coast became a major hub in the transatlantic trade. So by the 17th and 18th centuries, Cape Coast Castle and Fort Christiansborg served as holding points for enslaved Africans before the shipment. But here is what history clearly shows. Europeans largely operated from the coast. They were controlled by African political systems, ladies and gentlemen. Take note of this. States like the Asante Empire, the Akwamu Empire, and the coastal brokers like the Fanti Confederacy were deeply embedded in the supply networks of this slave trade. Trade routes moved captives from inland through the forest corridors to the coastal forts. Now, fellow Ghanaians, this was not chaos. In fact, this was carefully organized. Take note of this. Europe created the global demand. It is true. In fact, Europe controlled the shipping. They controlled the finance, the legal system. In fact, Europe defined slavery as permanent, racial, and hereditary. But African elites controlled much of the capture and supply networks. These chiefs that I will call, shaped by these local community leaders, by some ethnic groups. The truth is layered. The system was extremely driven but internally enabled. Now here is where I take a slightly different position. And listen to me. If we are bold enough to demand accountability from the outside, we must be mature enough to reflect on accountability within as well. Not to assign guilt to modern Africans. That's not what I'm trying to do. But to acknowledge something fundamental. It was obvious that an agency for trade existed, but on the same line, there were choices. Ladies and gentlemen, we had choices. For instance, some ethnic groups resisted participation in the trade. Some delayed involvement in the trade. Some, like cases documented by scholars such as Akosia Pebi, showed. Some even changed policies over time based on leadership decisions, which means that participation was not inevitable. It was, at least in part, a decision shaped by incentive. Participation was willingly. ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand this perspective? To a large extent, I am not saying because we Africans were largely involved, we should not pursue reparation. No. The system itself, the scale, the brutality, the global structure was not designed in Africa. I understand that. It was imposed and expanded by external powers. So I ask myself, if reparations are paid, ladies and gentlemen, what exactly are they for? Is it for compensation for labor, acknowledgement of injustice, investment in future development, and more importantly, who receives this reparation? Where does it go? Is it the diaspora communities, African states, specific descendants? Because without clarity, reparations risk becoming symbolic, not transformative. After reparation, are we ready to confront the full truth without using it to escape responsibility and without using it to deny justice? Because history is not just about what was done to us, ladies and gentlemen. It is also about what we learn from it. You see, because history can be used in two ways, either as a basis for perpetual claim or as a foundation for transformation. Some nations have chosen the latter, turning past humiliation into future strength. China, for instance, experienced invasion and control by Japan. So as other countries. Yet today, China is redefining the global power on its own terms, which raises a deeper question. Is true justice found in compensation or in becoming something greater than what history intended for you? And if we do not want to grasp this, we risk repeating the victim mentality without growth and development. We can go for reparation, but we still remain who we are without any growth and development. This is the narrative I want us to look at. Ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy once again. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and let us have more insightful and meaningful conversation. Thank you so much.